Video games, especially violent video games, have always been portrayed in a bad light, especially by the media. Whenever a new article or news of somebody being killed due to a video game, everybody jumps to the conclusion of that games are to be blamed for it. So today the goal of this presentation would be to better inform everyone so they have a clear picture on the whole situation, as well as the reason why violent video games should not be banned and an ethical analysis behind it. We've both been knowledge of playing violent video games and researching various studies. From a social and legal standpoint, these games should not be banned because the social responsibility is often misplaced. There are no legal boundaries these games are crossing, and from a scientific standpoint, there is a weak correlation between aggression and playing this kind of genre. Parents always like to blame the company first whenever something goes wrong with their children, or they see something on screen and are horrified by how violent the game actually is. Instead, why don't we hold the parents responsible for not doing enough research before purchasing it for their child? There is a handy tool that parents can use to determine whether a game is suitable for the age range of the child, known as ESRB, or Entertainment Software Rating Board. The ratings are broken down into 3 parts: rating categories, content descriptors, and interactive elements. The ratings range from E for everyone all the way up to A for adults only. Even taking a quick glance at the site will list all the content descriptors in detail. Call of Duty, for example, the most popular game among young children and adults. The first 2 games have a rating for mature, yet parents still bought the game for the child. So one could argue the social responsibility of these games should fall on the civic duties of the companies who make them, because their game doesn't benefit society as a whole. Except it does. Today, the most popular games were often first-person shooters, which they helped build what the industry is today, a multi-billion-dollar industry. Plus, as I will talk about in a bit, as some studies suggest, it does not harm the welfare of society either. Now, it's time to look at it from a legal standpoint. Do these games actually break any other law other than being offensive and shocking at most? To give a quick answer, no. Even offensive games are protected by the First Amendment of free speech. They are, in fact, an art just like music, painting, or literature. It's very clearly explained in the Legacy of Brown versus Emma court case from 2011. They tried to regulate the distribution of these types of games to minors. They tried to support the law by making it seem it was to protect the children and women, often known as being vulnerable. Unfortunately, the bill did not pass, which, fun fact, was originally signed into law by past Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. If one analyzes it a bit further, the bill passing would mean the doors would open to other media being regulated, and then when would it stop? So far, I've mainly talked about how America deals with these issues and past cases, but what about the rest of the world? Starting with New Zealand, in 2013, a New Zealand gamer was charged with murder after killing a rival in a fantasy game. They were rivals in the fantasy game and killed them in real life, just for clarification. Another case was Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people, and when asked how he trained, he cited Call of Duty Modern Warfare as a simulation. One last case happened in 2014 when a 15-year-old male stabbed his teacher to death and was linked to his fascination of video games. All these cases sparked discussion in the country for change or review of laws, but again, there has been no concrete evidence to tie these hobbies to aggressive or even antisocial behavior. New Zealand had enacted the Films, Videos, and Publications Classifications Act in 1993 and served the purpose to try and classify all publications in the country. Its 3 main classifications being unrestricted, objectionable, or restricted. At any time could the office be challenged as well. So, what does this mean for a piece of media to be objectionable? To summarize, if it depicts or deals with subjects such as sex, crime, cruelty, horror, or violence, then it will be perceived as objectionable. As stated by former Chief Censor Bill Hastings, The question is not whether the film will injure those people likely to see it. The question is, how will making this film available to any group in society be likely to injure society as a whole? There is, however, tension from both sides as it's being argued that every person deserves the right to freedom of expression and censoring this media disrupts that. So how could we change the following act where it doesn't infringe on people's rights? The injuries to the public good clause should be substantiated with scientific evidence and prove that it is a danger to society, for example, as well as publicizing these findings and continuing to allow the ability for a clean decision or at least critiques. Well, now how about some of the popular cases in the United States, namely Adam Lanza, who was responsible for the Sandy Hook shooting and the Chicago teenager who killed his brother for achieving a higher score in game Flappy Bird. Let's quickly discuss how Adam Lanza fit into the whole equation and how he is often used for anti-game propaganda. So it's well known that Adam Lanza was a fan of violent video games and that was one of the factors leading up to the shooting. As for the Flappy Bird case, for anyone who doesn't remember, it was a simple tapping game where one would have to tap the screen to keep the bird airborne. While one of the brothers would tease the other for their low score of 6, the brother eventually got tired of it and stabbed the other one 17 times in reference to his high score. But when we say Flappy Bird isn't even a violent video game, so with that argument, should we ban bad video games just for being frustrating because it increases aggression? And how about Adam Lanza? Well, after almost a year of investigation, it turns out he was more of an avid fan of Dance Dance Revolution anyways. Studies done on the subject claiming their research shows an increase in aggression in people often don't take into account if someone has a predisposition to anger, or if angry people just gravitate more towards violent video games. A study done in the University of Missouri proposed this very idea, their hypothesis being that violent video games only increase the already predisposed behavior among those individuals while not affecting other individuals. They use a particular model known as Huysman's model, which uses four main differences in an individual that could contribute to an individual's attitude and social problem solving. The four are made up of emotional predispositions, world schemas, social scripts, and normative beliefs. To explain each of these real quickly, emotional predispositions refers to an individual's tendencies when dealing with emotional situation. World schemas explains the blueprint of an individual's tendencies when dealing with emotional situation. Emotional predisposition refers to an individual's tendencies when dealing with emotional situation. World schemas explains the blueprint of an individual's about others' intentions. Social scripts are the individual's certain patterns. And finally, normative beliefs is an individual's response to how appropriate aggressive behavior would be to that situation. To summarize the study real quick, it was performed on 83 participants, 21 of them being women. The participants were asked to play one randomized game ranging from Mortal Kombat to NCAA basketball. Based on several criteria and debriefing afterwards, the conclusion of the results verified the hypothesis made earlier, which are violent video games do have different effects on individuals based on their predisposed traits. When we really look into it, ethically, violent video games haven't done anything wrong, no matter how offensive they are. One can see why countries may ban games like Hatred, for example. But banning games provides more of a legal problem than the actual game itself. To truly combat this problem, parents should be the ones to supervise what their children play and look into the legal troubles that video games don't cross, and studies that have shown that it's mainly the predisposition of a person rather than a genre. It's more important for people to have the ability to decide what they want to play, especially as an adult, as mostly everyone is able to distinguish reality from fiction.